Hey everyone, it's your girl Monica Leigh, and welcome to the Drive Thru Podcast. If this is your first time pulling up, I'm really glad you're here. And if you've been tuning in for a while, you already know the drill. This podcast is about conversations, the kind that makes us pause, reflect, and sometimes look at life a little differently. And today, we're talking about something that almost everyone experiences at some point: starting over. Sometimes life moves in a different direction and you begin again. And guess what? It's okay. It is. You see, when people hear the word starting over, they usually imagine something big, right? Like moving somewhere new, changing careers, ending a relationship, just completely shifting directions in life. And sometimes starting over does look like that. It does. But not always. Sometimes it's quieter than that. Sometimes starting over simply means realizing that the plan you once had for yourself doesn't feel like the right plan anymore. And sometimes it's waking up one day and realizing that something you've been doing for years just doesn't fit who you are now and doesn't resonate with where you are now. It could be a job that once excited you, but now maybe it feels like you're just going through the motions, that we're on the verge of thinking, well, maybe this isn't right for me anymore. I'm not excited about being here. There's no drive for me to want to get up in the morning and show up at work and get my day going. Maybe it's a routine that once felt comfortable, but now it feels like it's holding you back. I'm sure a lot of us can attest to this. And again, it's okay. These are all normal feelings. All normal feelings. Or maybe it's a mindset you've carried for a long time that suddenly doesn't make sense anymore. That is a big one. How many of us have just completely had tunnel vision for so long, thinking if we just keep thinking like this, we're going to get to where we need to be and it's going to turn out like it should, right? But even that, suddenly it doesn't make sense anymore to us. And when those moments happen, you reach a point where you have to decide what exactly comes next. What's the after? And when those moments finally click together and we're sitting with our thoughts, it allows us to kind of think about, okay, it's going to start with me, right? Because nobody else is going to tell you when you should do something. Or more importantly, why is it that you're still doing the same thing? And that can be exhausting. That can just be tiring. So, do you stay where things feel familiar, even if they're no longer fulfilling? Or do you actually take a step toward something new, even if you don't have everything figured out yet? Because the truth is, starting over rarely comes with a perfect plan. 9 out of 10 times, it doesn't. We just have to do it and go for it. And sometimes it simply begins with recognizing that something needs to change. Remember, change doesn't happen until you're ready to make that change happen. And you can pin that. I'm okay with that. But what about when life does take a turn, right? I mean, most of us like to feel things are settled. It makes it so much easier for us. We're familiar with it. We know what comes next. We know what to expect with what comes next. We feel more organized, more structured. We build routines. We create plans. We imagine a certain direction for our lives. And for a while, it might actually feel like everything is falling into place. And then that one moment, that life has a funny way of tapping us on the shoulder and things start to shift out of nowhere. Sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly. And before you know it, the path you thought you were on looks a little different. And of course, that moment can feel uncomfortable, right? You've probably heard, throughout your life that sometimes you have to be familiar with being uncomfortable. Getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Please know that is not a bad thing. It literally creates a shift in us, right? So we're not assuming or expecting what we've always known to be, right? And before you know it, that moment actually becomes a little more softened for us, right? And not because change is bad, but because it interrupts the stability we've worked hard to build. It interrupts the stability we've worked hard to build. And that is a big thing too. Who doesn't want to be stable in life? That goes for anything. Relationships, career, just your everyday routine. But change, as we know, it is a part of life. And every once in a while, life will nudge us towards something new, even when we didn't see it coming. So, why does starting over, why does it feel uncomfortable to us? And there's many reasons. We like certainty. We like knowing what tomorrow will look like. But when things shift, that certainty disappears for a while. It just makes a beeline and exits. And that's usually when the questions start showing up. Did I make the right decision? Should I have stayed where things felt familiar? Am I moving in the right direction? Those questions, they're normal. And anytime we step into something new, there is going to be a period of adjustment. 100%. There's going to be a period of adjustment. But uncertainty doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. Okay? Sometimes it simply means you're in the middle of a transition. And although transitions, while they tend to be uncomfortable, there is beauty in that because that's also very often where growth begins. Whether we see it or we don't, it's usually when growth begins. And we see growth through change. When we move through seasons of change, we do start to see things differently. We learn more about ourselves. we gain clarity about what really matters to us, and we begin to understand the direction we want to move in next. So, growth doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like small decisions, choosing something new, letting go of something that no longer fits, or simply deciding to keep moving forward, even when the path ahead isn't completely clear for us. Those quiet decisions, they often shape our lives in powerful ways. And something that I've always have said, and now as I've gotten older, I remind myself, give yourself grace. Okay? If you find yourself in a season where things feel uncertain, give yourself grace. It is okay. You don't have to have everything figured out right away. You don't have to rush the process. There is no time limit from start to finish at your pace, right? Life isn't about reaching a perfect destination as quickly as possible. It's actually about learning, growing, and evolving along the way. And sometimes the most meaningful progress, it happens during the seasons when we're rebuilding. It's true, right? Because have you ever gone through a period of time in your life where you have decided that you're going to rebuild something that's currently happening in your life, or you're being effective, in your life, right? And it's about literally just pacing yourself. That's it. That's it. And when when you take the time to rebuild at your own pace, it's not always bad. In fact, on the contrary, sometimes it's even better than what we expected it to be. So if life looks a little different right now to you, just take a breath, walk away for a second, and come back to it when you're ready, right? But trust that you're allowed to move forward at your own pace. We tend to think that, we're on the clock, like at work, whether it be 8 to 5, 9 to 6, however your schedule may be on a day-to-day basis, and a lot of us have flexible schedules, especially in today's world, right? So nothing is actually structured. But again, regardless of what that looks like to you, move at your own pace. And, let us be reminded that sometimes life moves in a different direction and you begin again. And guess what? That's okay. It's okay. It means that you are ready, able, and willing to do something new, to try something new, because your happiness is the most important thing. Okay? So starting again doesn't mean you're going backwards. It doesn't mean that you failed. It doesn't mean that you're confused. It means you are continuing to move in a direction in alignment with where you are, with more experience, more awareness, and more perspective than you had previously. Everything you've been through becomes part of the foundation you're building on. So everything that you have learned, were taught, experienced, gone through, witnessed, been a part of, the list goes on. All of those things, all of those moments, they have those experiences have shaped you to where you are right now. And it doesn't mean that those experiences that you've gone through are wasted, because nothing is wasted. So I remind us to be in the moment. If there is something that you are wanting to do differently in your life, whether it be trying a new hobby, having a new relationship, starting a new career, or just the way that you want to be as a person. Like you feel like that you've been a certain way all your life and you realize, I've outgrown that. That's not who I am. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is wasted. So I just want to say, I appreciate you spending this time with me today at the drive-thru. And if this conversation resonated with you, feel free to share it with someone who might need to hear it. And as always, new episodes of the Drive Thru Podcast with your girl Monica Leigh drop every Thursday at noon. So don't forget to pull up, come see me. And until then, take care of you. See you soon. Bye.